Right now, across multiple sectors of the front, Ukrainian forces are launching aggressive counterattacks with one critical mission: prevent the encirclement of Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad and keep those vital supply roads open at all costs. These aren't just defensive maneuvers. These are calculated, offensive operations designed to throw the Russian advance into chaos. And how is the Russian command responding? By desperately reallocating forces, throwing more and more troops into the meat grinder, all because their officers have once again made promises they can't keep. They've told Moscow that Pokrovsk is about to fall, that victory is just days away. The result? Hundreds of Russian soldiers are dying every single day in pursuit of an objective that remains tantalizingly out of reach. The absolute epicenter of this brutal fighting is around Rodinska, where elite Ukrainian assault units and air assault forces are locked in a desperate struggle to widen the bottleneck, that narrow corridor that serves as the lifeline for ammunition, reinforcements, and critically, medical evacuation of the wounded. Picture this: Russian infiltration groups are attempting to slip into Rodinska every single day, sometimes multiple times per day. This means constant, grinding combat, not just on the outskirts, but inside the settlement itself, street by street, building by building, and across the surrounding fields where there's nowhere to hide from the ever-present eyes of surveillance drones. Now here's what's remarkable. The Russians have claimed to have captured Rodinska multiple times. They've posted their victory announcements, celebrated their supposed success. But drone footage from Russian sources themselves, their own evidence, completely undermines these claims. The footage shows heavy artillery shelling and thick columns of smoke rising from Ukrainian-held positions, proving conclusively that Ukrainian defenders are still there, still fighting, still in control. And the Ukrainians aren't just holding on by their fingernails. They're actively countering Russian assaults with absolutely devastating precision drone strikes that have turned the approaches to Rodinska into a killing field. But the story doesn't end at the front line. Deep behind Russian positions, Ukrainian Special Operations Forces are conducting a sophisticated campaign of sabotage and reconnaissance missions, systematically disrupting Russian logistics networks and command structures. One particularly successful operation illustrates their effectiveness perfectly. Ukrainian operators managed to infiltrate deep into enemy rear areas, where they eliminated 3 Russian soldiers. And then, and this is the crucial part, seized valuable communications equipment, sensitive documents, and navigation systems. This wasn't just about eliminating enemy personnel. This was an intelligence goldmine that immediately enhanced situational awareness for Ukrainian frontline units, giving them critical insights into Russian plans and movements. The 7th Rapid Response Corps of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces has reported something truly significant. They've successfully reinforced their sector with fresh personnel and new equipment, all while conducting aggressive clearing operations across the northern approaches to Rodinska. Thanks to exceptionally close coordination between different units, the kind of integration that only comes from well-trained, professional forces, they managed to prevent Russian forces from cutting the crucial Pokrovsk-Rodinska road. In the process, they eliminated dozens of Russian soldiers who were attempting to push northward, and we have the footage to prove it. Drone video confirms at least 20 Russian soldiers destroyed in just several square meters, an area the size of a large room, annihilated by FPV drones as they attempted to advance through Ukrainian fortifications. The density of casualties speaks to both the intensity of the Russian assault and the effectiveness of Ukrainian defensive firepower. Meanwhile, to the east, the fighting continues with unrelenting intensity as Russian forces press through Novo Economichna, which has become a textbook example of a gray zone battlefield, contested, fluid, deadly. Currently, Russian forces control only a handful of street blocks on the eastern edge of the settlement. We're talking about a few city blocks at most. Ukrainian paratroopers, those elite airborne infantry, are engaged in brutal house-to-house fighting, employing close-quarters combat tactics to repel wave after wave of Russian infiltration attempts. We have geolocated video evidence showing the nature of this fighting. A Ukrainian soldier carefully, methodically approaching a house where Russian troops have taken shelter, and then destroying them with a single, well-placed RPG 7-shot. This is combat at its most intimate and dangerous, the kind where success depends on skill, courage, and split-second decision-making. Ukrainian reconnaissance teams have developed something truly impressive, a coordinated hunting rhythm working in perfect tandem with FPV drone operators. Here's how it works. Once a Russian vehicle is immobilized, whether by hitting a mine or taking a direct drone strike, Ukrainian operators immediately pivot to target the dismounted infantry with drone-dropped munitions. The Russians barely have time to scramble out of their destroyed vehicles before they're engaged, ensuring they cannot dig in, cannot entrench, cannot establish new firing positions. Every single attempt by Russian forces to reach Myrnohrad ends exactly the same way. Destroyed vehicles littering the landscape, scattered troops trying desperately to find cover, and another line of burnt wreckage marking the high water mark of their advance. It's become a predictable, tragic pattern. These Ukrainian counterattacks aren't just tactically important, they're absolutely existential. Why? Because the Russians are concentrating the overwhelming bulk of their available manpower and resources on this specific sector, attempting to crush the defenders through sheer weight of numbers, through relentless pressure, through the simple calculus of attrition. Both Ukrainian and Russian sources independently confirm something fascinating. The Russian command has deliberately reduced the intensity of fighting in other directions along the front, redeploying those forces to focus entirely, obsessively, on the Pokrovsk Myrnohrad axis. They're putting all their chips on this one bet. Ukrainian commanders have described in detail the Russian tactical approach. Assault groups systematically probe Ukrainian defensive positions, searching methodically for gaps they can exploit. But here's the twisted part. They send waves of poorly trained conscripts ahead first, essentially using them as human bait to draw out Ukrainian drone and artillery fire. Once Ukrainian positions reveal themselves by engaging these expendable troops, then the trained Russian assault infantry follow up, moving in for close combat. This pattern repeats endlessly, day after day, assault after assault, leading to absolutely catastrophic Russian losses. Yet somehow, it still manages to maintain relentless pressure on Ukrainian units, who must respond to every probe, every attack, every incursion. The human cost on the Russian side is staggering. The 155th Russian Naval Infantry Brigade has reportedly been rendered combat ineffective once again after losing the majority of its personnel. An entire brigade chewed up and spit out by this grinding battle. To maintain the tempo of attacks, elements of the 108th Motorized Rifle Regiment and the 68th Tank Regiment have been rushed into the breach as emergency reinforcements. This is a desperate measure, the kind of reallocation that highlights Russia's almost pathological obsession with capturing Pokrovsk, regardless of the cost in blood and equipment. Despite the enormous, crushing pressure that would have broken lesser forces, Ukraine's defense of Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad is holding firm. Now let's be clear, the situation is not stabilized, it's not comfortable, and Ukrainian commanders openly acknowledge the difficulty of their position. But here's the brutal mathematics of this battle. Each day that passes, hundreds of Russian soldiers die in the killing fields around these towns, even as more reinforcements arrive only to be fed into the same slaughter. It's a grim calculus, but it's reality. While Russian generals celebrate imaginary advances in their reports to Moscow, while they draw new lines on maps in their headquarters far from the sound of gunfire, the actual battle for Pokrovsk is far from over. Ukrainian defenders are methodically turning what Russia envisioned as a grand encirclement into something else entirely, a graveyard for Russian armor and manpower, a place where ambitions come to die in the mud and rubble of eastern Ukraine.